Welcome back, everyone, to Grand Tactician, the Civil War. It's late August of 1862, and we are going to start making our move in East Kentucky. If you haven't seen the campaign up to this point, there's a link in the description that will take you all the way back to the beginning. We've completed the supply depot here for Ambrose Powell Hill's Army of East Tennessee, so now he's got a base of supply from which we are going to start threatening the heart of Eastern Kentucky. We're going to head up here and hopefully draw some of these forces back, which is then going to free up my army of Tennessee to be able to start threatening other parts of the state. We've already been able to hold on here in Cairo. Now with this CCC plus rating, that means we can't build new units, which means we don't have the ability right now to supply men to these forts unless we transfer units from our existing armies. I'm not entirely sure I want to do that just yet, but I will. I've pulled back the Trans-Mississippi Theater back to Fort Smith until we can get to the place where we can get the units. We have another 10,000 men transferring from the east that are going to give them the manpower they need to take on these three armies over here. And we're going to see what's going on in Washington here. I don't know how many men he's got in there because I can't see all the armies that are stacked on top of each other. Oh my gosh, I don't know why Longstreet's going that way. It's supposed to be going this way. I hope I didn't just get myself into a situation where Ewell's Corps is going to be fighting alone. That's exactly the situation we got into, but there's only 7,600 men in Washington. Are you kidding me? All right. So in this case, Ewell's Corps might be all we need. Interesting, we've got three different points to go after here. And for the first time in quite a while, we're on the offensive. We are the ones doing the attacking. We've got a better than 2-to-1 man advantage. We can take our time, get our forces exactly where we want them to be, and then move forward. So I'm going to, I think, come in from this side up here. It seems to be the best route, and we'll just come down on one position at a time. He's probably defending along this route here. So interesting, he's actually sitting right here defending this road. He's not anywhere near the objectives. So we're actually going to move to hit him, but I think we'll go ahead and send some forces to take the objectives anyway. We'll send our cavalry down after the objectives. We'll make sure that nobody's there, and then we'll bring our infantry forces right at the enemy. Okay, so we've gotten to day 2, which means it pulled my cavalry back to where the main army was. So now I've got to once again send them out to grab these other 2 objectives, which they were on their way to grab when the day ended. While they're doing that, we're going to get into position with our artillery, which we've already done. He may actually move out against me, in which case it makes my job easier. I don't have to attack these fortifications. He's actually in some pretty substantial fortifications, but I've got a nice amount of artillery bombarding them at the moment, and we'll just soften them up for a while we grab the objectives, and we'll start seeing this bar move. But we've got a 3-to-1 advantage in manpower. His morale super high though, 73. So there's really nothing to be gained by launching an attack right off the bat. So we'll go ahead and send out some skirmishers here so we can see exactly what we're facing. We'll keep him engaged and make sure he's not laying down while my artillery hits him. We'll grab both of these objectives, and that'll hopefully start driving this bar more in my direction, which means he won't fight quite as viciously to hold on to everything before he gets to a place of defeat. So the more advantages we give ourselves before we assault these fortifications, the better. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start sending the Tar Heel rifles out around the edge, and we're gonna try to swing around with Smith as best we can here. So who are we dealing with here? We've got the 1st Georgia Zouaves, the Bibb County Boys, Jones's Brigade, the Cotton Balers, 3-7 Infantry, Bowen's Brigade, and then out here we have the Florida Lead Launchers. So far, it was showing me with 100. I'm up to 235 casualties now. I'm not sure exactly how those casualties are happening. Okay, Garnet's sitting on the other objective and slowly starting to capture that now. Ramser's going to start moving out this way. I might send the Seminole Scalpers out that way too. The 2 reserve units. Alright, now that I grabbed all the objectives, he is actually pulling out. I didn't even have to assault him. So we're going to be able to get away with this with just a couple hundred casualties, rather than having to launch an attack that's going to cost us maybe thousands of men. He's going to pull back, and I don't know if that's going to be enough to actually take Washington without having to do anything else. It's quite possible. We're going to go hit this battery, though. Looks like our artillery had pretty much already wiped out the battery. Our cav could probably intercept him if we want. We could maybe at least go inflict some casualties and harass these guys a little bit, but we're going to run out of time before we get to do too much of that. 331 casualties. Don't tell me I'm going to be able to take Washington only losing 331 men, but that might be what's about to happen here. Okay, and now we're going to take on the 1st Corps of the Army of Lincoln. Once again, nice advantage, huge advantage, because now we've got Longstreet's Corps as well. And I think this might be enough to do it, because he's got Kimes Raiders, 7,000 men there. And then we've got, I think this might just be the headquarters for the Army of Lincoln, which is 84,000 strong total, but I don't know where the other corps are. So if we're able to take Washington first, that'll be ideal. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we're going to have Ewell right off the bat, but we won't have Longstreet right away. So we're going to try to move Ewell as quickly as we can because it's already 7:12. And the further I move Ewell's corps, the more space I'll have to deploy both corps when Longstreet arrives, so that in the morning we'll be able to launch our full attack. I'm guessing he's going to be dug in behind this creek somewhere. We're on to day 2. We're getting both corps into position. Here's the situation. 57,000 men for me, 24,000 for him. He's got a significant morale advantage, so we're going to have to probably hammer him pretty good in order to win the day. And he's got these 2 objectives, and we're going to have to cross over the water to get at him. We've got Buckner's division here, 51st Highland Division here, all Australian volunteers right there. And we're going to move forward with them first. I'm going to get Jackson with his artillery up in somewhere where they can hopefully see the enemy. And once I move Longstreet's corps and we can see what he's doing and maybe draw him this way, then we move with Ewell. You can see he's shifting over to meet the threat from Longstreet. And then, of course, Ewell's going to start showing up with his corps. Now we'll figure out what we're going to do. Okay, artillery's opening up on both sides. So we'll have a little bit of an artillery duel happening here. I'm going to start moving some of these brigades up so they can get a little bit of shelter behind the creek before we decide how we're going to go about this. I'm still moving up some of my units, including all of Ewell's artillery, which we're going to move right into this spot right here. I'm going to send some of my cav over on the wing. Maybe try to bring them in around. Buckner, we're going to swing way out to the side here. We'll hold most of them right where they are. Few casualties happening. Nothing really major, though. Since I have double his manpower, we can hold a good bit of our army in the front while we bring a few divisions around on the flanks to hit him from the sides. There's no way he can cover all of that territory. I think I'll go ahead and start sending out some skirmishers just to keep him occupied a little bit. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get these guys in position. Looks like he's going to start sending a few units forward. Interesting choice. This is a cool battlefield. I like this one. You can see a lot here. He's got this nice slope that he's trying to defend. You can see our units going out around the flank now for Buckner. No, bring the whole division, please. He's completely adjusting his lines now based on what I'm doing. Let's bring this cav around here. No, 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 no. Didn't mean... Oh, no. I just gave orders to the entire corps by accident. Hold on. Longstreet, tell everybody to stop, please. And that was Ewell's corps. Ewell, tell everybody to stop. I didn't realize Ewell was over here. Napoleon, stay right the heck where you are. Occasionally that happens and I get a little careless with giving the orders without realizing what I'm giving orders for. But I think we have him confused enough here that it's going to work out okay. Alright, most of the action's still happening right in the center with our skirmishers taking on one of his brigades. Casualties pretty even. Union morale starting to drop. He's starting to shift some brigades over this way to meet the threat. I'm going to keep shifting some of my cavalry that way. I don't know why all these guys decided to stop, but let's get them moving again. For some reason my orders are not going through as they should. The enveloping is just taking a little while, but it is going to happen. Come on, Buckner. The problem is Longstreet's way over here. I need to move him so he's a little more central to his corps. So it's taking a long time for those orders to go through. Alright, we're starting to move in on the objective here on Mosher's Hill. 1st Georgia Zouaves, the Bibb County boys, Tar Heel rifles. With the Florida lead launchers here. With skirmishers out. Here we've got Jonathan's rifles getting into the action. We might move the Highlanders forward here in a minute, because it's just taking a really long time for Buckner to get into position. I'm going to go ahead and put skirmishers out from Smith's division as well. This has all mostly just been our skirmishers so far. But they're still doing pretty good, inflicting some decent casualties. Come on, Buckner. Okay, Smith's division's in place, ready to go. Buckner's moving into place. We are enveloping this Union army. Let's go ahead and pull the skirmishers in from Smith's division. and then launch our main attack. Seminole Scalpers. Bibb County boys. Georgia Zouaves. We're going to move Napoleon's division up. And Buckner will start moving in. We're just going to close the trap on these guys. This is where the action's going to heat up first. Need to shift them over a little bit. Let's get Garnett's brigade into place so they can fight. We're going to take this objective soon. Get Bowen's brigade up here and we can hit these skirmishers from two sides and drive them off. Oh, we've got some melee combat happening already. Bibb County boys. Driving them off. Good job. Okay, the 92nd Foot. Let's move them forward. 71st Highland Light Foot. Let's move them. And then the 21st. We'll start moving them forward. And we'll start watching his flanks collapse. Casualties are going to be high on this one because he's not going to break easily. But I think when it does happen, it'll happen fast. Now we got to watch here because these guys are going to take some heavy casualties, the Bibb County boys. Thankfully, they're a big unit. Whose skirmishers are those? Let's call them back. Then we're going to go after the artillery. Oh, look at this. His cav is firing into our flank. Well, we can't have that. Alright, Buckner, move forward again. Let's take the objective. At this point, it probably makes sense to go ahead and send our center forward as well. We're just going to collapse on him from all sides. Oh, our cav's breaking. They just had too much fire coming at them from different sides. Same with Walton. I don't know why he was facing that way, but that's not a good scenario for him. Alright, the Union's starting to break. Like I said, I thought once it did happen, it would happen fast. That seems to be the case here. His morale's dropped a lot. Alright, Buckner's moving into the objective now. There it is, we're taking that. I think it's only a matter of time at this point. Armagh Irish out front. Let's send them at Rodman's attachment. Ah, there they are, they're retreating. Fighting Tigers. Beautiful. This should be enough to take Washington. But we'll see. Lost 2,400 men, 16 guns. We took out all 20 of his guns, inflicted 5,500 casualties. It's a minor victory, but it should be enough to take the capital, and then we'll go ahead and look at the army and see who we want to award battle honors to. If we do take the capital, I think we'll give them to 3 units for this one. Okay, let's see what happens here. First things first, I'm going to hit play just because I want to see what's going to happen with these forces. He does still have the Department of Pennsylvania down there with 14,000 men, but that's not going to do anything to us. I'm going to make sure that I have everybody in here. I think he's got everybody out of the city. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the army for a minute. You can see he's still just got 267,000 men. He hasn't made the decisions that are going to allow him to push that up to like 1 million or something. We've won 2 minor victories in Washington back-to-back days. We've inflicted 2-to-1 casualties. Experience is about even. His Navy tonnage has got me 3-to-1. Morale of the armies is actually pretty close, and national support's pretty close. But national morale is down, and that'll take a big hit if we take Washington. Okay, so in Longstreet's Corps, we're going to give Battle Star to the Jonathan's Rifles. This will be their second one. Took 273 casualties, inflicted 708, and probably the most effective of all of the units in Longstreet's Corps. Then in Ewell's Corps, we have several units that we could choose from here, but I want to look at some of the ones who were in the heaviest action. You can see there that the Bibb County boys took a lot of casualties, but I really like what the Georgia Zouaves did, and I think they might be the ones that we go with here. Although, you know what, honestly, Bibb County boys, they took a beating, but they did a lot of really important work there. Going to give one to them. I think we'll give one to the 1st Georgia Zouaves as well. And I think we're going to have to look at some changes with leadership here because some of these units are just not well commanded at all. Pelham's a exception to that. I think we'll promote Grigsby. Some of these guys, they're looking good enough that we can probably get them promoted here. I don't think we'll promote Napoleon to Major General yet. Same with Smith. And same over here. Well, you know what? I think Buckner we can promote. That's about it for now. Well, maybe Walker as well. All right, while all that's happening in Washington, the Army of the Shenandoah's got an opportunity here. We're going to take Pittsburgh with the Army of the Shenandoah because he's starting to send all his forces down here. For some reason, Ewell's army just retreated out of Washington, and I have no idea why. But he got hit there, so we're going to bring him back in. But he's going to have to... I should have done this to begin with while I was putting pressure on Washington to keep those other units from being able to come and protect Washington. So we're going to start an attack on Pittsburgh right while we're just now starting to see that bar for Washington start to shift. It's going to take until it turns completely red for us to take the city completely. But we're getting Ewell's Corps moved back in. Now we just sit tight while his units sit outside the city and watch us take it. Meanwhile, our Army of East Tennessee has taken their objective, and we're getting kind of greedy here. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I don't think there's a supply depot here. So we're going to have to, I think, build one. It's going to take some time because we don't want to get too far away from our base of supply. But I think we're going to have to go after these guys at some point. But I'm going to hold them where we are for now because the focus is in the east. Western Army is going to hold at Cairo. Trans-Mississippi Theater is going to sit tight here for a little while longer. We're waiting on their transferred troops to arrive. Let's see how long we've got until that happens. He's got 8 days. Once Hardee's division arrives, so we get those reinforcements, we'll make a move. Okay, we're taking Pittsburgh. There are Union armies up here, but not enough, that I don't think, to be able to take on Johnston's army. And that's what's going to happen here, is we're going to take on this army. And again, we've got the advantage. So this is going to be the battle for Pittsburgh. Interesting. Battle of Pennsylvania Canal. We'll wrap up our episode with this battle. Okay, so here is the map we're fighting on. Here's the objective. It looks like he's dug in right here. But we're scouting ahead a little bit, and we're already running into him. There's his main force. So good thing I sent the scouts where I did. I think the place that I've decided to line up my army is going to end up being perfectly where we want to be. We just might need to condense the line a little bit, because I was going to stretch across this whole area right here. All right, it's day 2. Just checking out the terrain here. He had parapets, but he's abandoned them in favor of a new defensive line. So we're going to move our guns right up here to, I think, to these ridge lines here, so we can get a good look at him. And then I'll move the Ringgold division right up in here to this side so he doesn't pull everybody out. And then we're going to shift Stonewall Jackson's division over here. We'll put States Rights Gist to his right. And then we'll see what we can see and launch our attack. All right, well, Jackson moved straight forward. I guess that was where I wanted him to be. And the Anson County congregation has already engaged the enemy. Let's bring up the 2nd Virginia on their left. 1st South Carolina Volunteers will come in on their right side. And I think we're in good shape. It's a pretty small force that we're facing there. Plus we've got artillery support. Gist is going to take a while to get into position. We're going to move Johnston over here to a more central position. Who was wounded? McCausland, the commander of the Anson County congregation, was already wounded, leading his men. Alright, we're going to start overwhelming him with numbers now, I think. Alright, Gist. I don't know why his orders undid themselves, but that's okay. Alright, we've got artillery firing on these guys. We've got a whole division firing on them. I think it's just a matter of time now. Gotta admit, when this episode started, I did not think we would be fighting a battle for Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm also really surprised he's holding out as long as he is here. Anson County congregation's lost 800 men. So we're going to move Allen's rifles up, and we're going to pull these guys back. Come on, Allen's rifles. What are we waiting on here, guys? There we go. Fresh units in the center. 2nd Virginia's got a perk. Let's give them sharpshooters. Alright, Gist is almost in position. I'm going to shift him a little further over this way. Looks like he's got some cav coming forward here. Let's send skirmishers out from the Ringgold division. I'm going to send Fulkerson out this way a little further. I really cannot believe this brigade has lasted as long as it has. They've got 1,100 casualties. They're down to 400 men, and they're still fighting. How have they not broken off? There they go. Burnside, man. That was some heroic work by Burnside's brigade. Alright, Gist is starting to shift over into position. We're going to hold tight over here. I do want to shift the guns to focus on these new targets, though. There's still guns firing here. Now we're going to send Allen's rifles in to charge those guns. Okay, let's move Jackson's division forward. We're going to wait for Gist to get up there. And then we'll try to envelop them as best we can. Once we start engaging them, then we'll send Loring's division forward. Alright, we got a thunderstorm happening now. It doesn't make for ideal fighting conditions. We're going to move forward. Try to finish this off. Who's pulling out? Some of his units have withdrawn. He's sitting tight so far. Our artillery is just lighting him up. Look at all that artillery exploding over his head. Which is, by the way, how Civil War artillery was intended to work. Not to hit the ground and explode and shoot everything up into the air, but to explode over their heads for maximum damage. Alright. Let's move 1st South Carolina Volunteers forward. Allen's rifles forward. And now we'll pull Loring's skirmishers in. And we're going to send him forward. He's going to break pretty fast now, I think. So far, casualties, 1,486 for me, 2,000 for him. But that's a fifth of his army. And it's about to climb rapidly. He just didn't have the manpower to be able to protect from getting enveloped like this. Hit that battery and take it out. Ringgold Brigade. Nicely done, boys. We'll send the cav in there. Oh, there's only 466 men. We're not going to send that cav. Alright, we've got them surrounded. We might just be able to destroy these last few brigades and get them to surrender. We're going to hit them with everything. From both sides. Well, of course he's retreating. That's not enough. We want him to surrender. There we go. We got one of them. 3rd Brigade whipped out. Major victory in Pittsburgh. Beautiful. Okay, first battle star for this one goes to the 1st South Carolina Volunteers. And we'll give another one since this is a pretty big victory, and it's going to go to the 4th Ringgold Brigade. That'll be their 2nd battle star. We do have a commander to replace in McCausland who was wounded. I'll look and see if we've got any available colonels or brigadier generals. We do not appear to. So we're going to have to go down all the way to lieutenants. Looks like Pegram's the choice. Boy, General Johnston has some major stats going for him. My goodness, that's fantastic. I think Loring's ready for a promotion to Major General. Stonewall Jackson's definitely ready for promotion to Lieutenant General. He's still got major stats. We might have to move him to another command. Find something that is a little more befitting his stature. But look at Early. All these commanding officers and command of armies are just looking really good right now. All right, so that's the situation. I'm going to pause here because I don't want another battle to start, but I don't see any reason why we aren't about to capture Pittsburgh. And the same goes for Washington. In fact, I'll try to let this play out. I think we're going to be okay to capture Washington before we get hit again. There it is. Washington falls. Union capital taken. The president flees. That's obviously going to have an impact on British intervention. Our Nashville POW camp is once again maxed out. I didn't mean to do that. We are going to have a major battle on our hands when we come back. He's going to try and hit me at Washington again, and this time he's going to have the numbers on his side. And I definitely have some morale issues to deal with. So we'll come back with that on the next episode. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.